Good morning and welcome to Hardin Life Live. We are the Hardins, well, two of them, and we are a group of counselors and coaches who are committed to bringing you both a therapeutic and biblical perspective for you to live your best life on relevant topics that we think are helpful. So today we're talking about siblings.
Yes.
Sibling relationships.
Yeah, as you know, we're sisters. Even though we kind of look different, you can tell by our expressions. We have the same mother and father. Yeah. Hey, mom and dad. But I think that what we've been realizing, it's a constant thing because Audrey and I are very different. We have different personalities, but as kids, we didn't have a language for that. I am more introverted, so I would be like, okay, we've played enough with each other. I'm ready to play by myself, and you go do that yourself too. Like, go along, because we think that every sibling is similar to us. And so for me, I didn't understand that she would feel rejected or hurt or try to want to continue playing with me. And I just thought that she was, and then she just started getting me in trouble a little bit because I would be reactive to these things that we do to get our needs met. For our personalities, Audrey loves to be with people, and I just didn't understand. I didn't understand it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what we want to talk about today. Is there are a lot of things that children, when we're growing up together, misunderstand about each other because we don't have a language to understand personality and needs and boundaries, and so as a result, we end up hurting each other trying to get our own needs met. Just like Abigail was saying, as an introvert, her need was time to recharge. And for me, I recharge with people, and with some friend rejections and early hurts in my school relationship, I felt more dependent on my sibling relationship to meet those needs for me. There was no way she was supposed to know that. There was no way that she would understand that we recharge differently. And so what we want to kind of invite you today to do is to begin thinking about your sibling relationship, and maybe in a light that's not an intentional wounding, not that there aren't those too, but to explore what might be some of those differences that caused hurt and loss in your sibling relationship.
I think one of the things that has been an amazing resource, because we're a therapist family. We talk about feelings, we talk about things, but a lot of the times I think it would be hard to communicate for the child you to know how you were hurt. I think we minimize a lot, that it's like, oh, we just got over it, or like, oh, that's just how my sibling is,
or we were just kids, so
yeah,
that's what kids do.
Or it's like, oh, this is just going to be our adult relationship without even a true hope for restored relationship and healing. And so one of the things that we've even had to do are having those tough conversations that no one really wants to bring up their past because they think it's almost a can of worms. It's never going to end, or there isn't going to be true forgiveness. But we've noticed the more that we're intentionally not looking for a resolve, looking for a healed relationship, not trying to bring up past wounds to create a fight, to create tension, but to feel acknowledged, to feel heard and validated that it was painful. And I know that I've had to apologize for things that I wouldn't want to do as an adult, but that I can still do. But then it's also apologizing for what I did as a kid. And that's, in creating the space, we do these workshops, Hardwired to Heal, and showing how even our brain can store these past wounds, and we still act out of them. So there's sometimes, like, I'm more fearful that people are going to not respect my boundaries, because Audrey would just come into my room when I shut the door and made it clear I did not want to be bothered.
And the reason that is the way it is, the reason our brain still responds in our adult life as if it was happening, fresh in our childhood, is because 85% of your personality is formed by age 12. Therefore, we like to think of those years as wet cement years. You're still wet cement, and things are still forming your personality, your characteristics. And when hurts and losses happen during that time, when boundaries are crossed, when there are misunderstandings, when there's pain, it begins to become part of how we see ourselves and part of how we see other people. And after that age 13, 14, that cement begins to solidify, and it naturally, I mean, this happens with everyone, it naturally is going to solidify in such a way that we're going to have misconceptions about ourselves and about people. And so what we're encouraging and inviting you to do is to really go back and reflect on what are some of those messages that you took on about yourself, maybe a lie that you believed about yourself. Like, for example, a lie that I believed about myself is that I'm not enough, that I'm not wanted. And that has played out throughout my life. And, and Abigail has said her, a vow that she might have made had to do with, I can't trust people to respect my boundaries. And that's not true more than it's not true that I'm not enough. But those are just some examples of some things that we could have really had solidified in our personality, believing that. So we do need to go backwards. We still need to resolve the past hurts today that happened in the past, because we're going to continue to act out of them in our present.
And it is a confusing thing with siblings, because it's like you want to have a friendship. Your parents probably wanted you to get along and work it out. And yet, when there's differences, when there's misunderstandings, when it's like each sibling can be believing a different lie about oneself or another, it gets tricky, because it's also under family love. Mm-hmm. And we really don't want to cause any more pain or hurt for those who we love. And then it's confusing when those who we know love us can still hurt us.
Yeah. And that's brings that Proverbs 18:24, and it says that one who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who is closer than a brother. And imagine the author of Proverbs is saying that there's a depth of friendship that's more than a sibling, which implies that your sibling relationship is the gold standard. And that wasn't the case for many of us growing up. That wasn't how we felt. And so, but still, there is this implication, even in our adult life, that our childhood sibling, our sister, our brother, could truly be our deepest relationship. And I think that's why we really want to encourage you to make a point to lay out your grievances, lay out where you've been wounded, and then get curious instead of critical. It's so easy to blame the other sibling for things that contributed to the dynamic. And that was a huge thing for me in our relationship, is I just naturally thought it was Abigail's fault that we weren't friends, because she's the one that was shutting the door. And it takes two to tango. And for me, in my neediness, in my desire for love and attention, and to prove that lie I believed about myself, not being enough, wasn't true, that I needed her to want to spend time with me and be my friend. And that wasn't taking into consideration what she needed and how she felt love. So getting curious really invites deeper relationship and deeper healing.
And I think really setting that time aside, if you are going to have those conversations with your siblings, don't just have it in the heat of the moment or random. Be intentional. Ask them out to coffee, or something where it's a FaceTime, even that you have zero distractions. And first, own your part. I think that vulnerability leads to vulnerability. And that's why we want siblings. Trust me, our relationship has been restored. So first go to the Lord, pray about it. You don't want to be reactive. You don't want to be holding on to past hurts, but really trusting the Lord that he can redeem, he can restore, and being fully open to owning your part and even fully forgiving another.
Yeah. So we invite you to go check out our blog. I wrote a few more tips on how to really do this well and how to restore sibling relationships. And then check out our workshops that we have coming up. We've got one in March and one in April, Hardwired to Heal, where we give you even more techniques of how to resolve not just your sibling relationships, but really hurts from all your relationships. So we hope y'all have a great week, and we will see you next time.